everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Melody McAllister, and I'm so glad you could be here. Since things in my life are a little bit crazy right now, I might be changing my night from Wednesday to Tuesday, but I will let you know. But you can always find my book chats on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you can't watch us live, you can always catch the replay on those same channels. I want to give a special shout out to the Alice Keeler Teacher Tech and Thrive in Edu Facebook communities. And next week, I'll be going live with IdeaCon authors. So if you are going to the IdeaCon conference next week in Schaumburg, Illinois, I'm going to be there. And if you're an author, we're going to go live. I will talk about that a little bit more later. But tonight I'm here with an author and illustrator, Carrie Baughcum. Did I say your name right, Carrie?
That's okay. Baughcum.
What?
Baughcum, like Wacom with a B.
Baughcum. I should have asked you that before.
That's okay.
Like, this is not the first time that Carrie and I have talked, and yet I forgot to ask her. Thank you for being gracious, Carrie.
That's no problem.
Carrie, you were actually one of the first educators I started following on Twitter in 2015, and you have been sharing your sketchnoting with the world for years, and it inspired me to start as well. Carrie is a creator, a wife, mom. She co-hosts a YouTube series called Doodle and Chat with Dr. Mandy Tolan, and they just celebrated their first anniversary for this educational and fun series. They go live every Wednesday night, so you'll have to check it out if you haven't already, and I'll be dropping all the links if you're interested in that. And regardless if you are into education or children's books, Carrie is a leader in using her platform for affirmation, and she truly lives out her words. I look up to her as a mom, woman, and human, and I'm thrilled to have her on tonight to talk about her children's book, Stanely and the Very Messy Desk, an adventure in sketchnoting. If you're like me and have struggled to know where to start to learn or how to teach sketchnoting, Carrie has found a clever way to help us all get started. So this is a book for everybody. It's for teachers, it's for students, it's for parents. Sketchnoting goes beyond just educational purposes. So in fact, after reading this, I sketchnoted something for Carrie. Now she does amazing art, but this is what I sketchnoted for you.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining me tonight, Carrie. It's such an honor. How are you? And can you tell us all a little bit about your background?
Well, first of all, I just want to reach into the camera and just squeeze you and hug you. And thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. You filled me up so much. And yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And I could listen to you all day. You have like a voice for radio, but also for YouTube.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That is so sweet.
So thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that so much.
You're welcome. And I meant every word. So tell us a little bit about your background.
So I'm a mom and a wife. I'm also a teacher of students who receive supports and services through their individual education plans. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I'm in my 24th-ish year, 24th, 25th, 24th year of that. I love it so much being a teacher of those students every day. I love being a teacher. I love to really harness and bring out the very best of them. So teach them how to compensate for their areas of weakness and really take opportunities to amplify their strengths so that they can use those to compensate for any area of life that they might need to use those skills for. I love, diving into things and using the uncomfortable to bring out the best in students, because if we're not uncomfortable as adults or children, then sometimes learning just can't happen. And so I embrace those opportunities in my classroom. I love taking opportunities for students to create in my classroom, whether it's, through a structured lesson or through choice time. I love using choice learning and letting students drive their learning, because I find that you get more motivation, and then backing that up with lots of reflection and conversations afterwards, so we can continue to focus on the areas of learning that we're really good at, but the ones that we still need to improve on too. And then I just love drawing and chatting with people, anybody who I can connect with. And I love so much the power of taking in ideas and connecting with them in our imagination and putting them on paper with doodles. And I love the power that sketchnoting and that type of learning can bring out in us and in our teaching as well.
For sure. And I just we did not plan on our wardrobe, but we both have our teacher shirts on, colorful. So great minds think alike. And I love it. You are so inspirational. I would love to be in your class. I'm sure that students, that aren't in your class would also like to be in your class. But tell me, how did you get into sketchnoting?
Oh my gosh, it's been a minute since I thought about how I got into sketchnoting. So sketchnoting started with my own children. I would be folding laundry in the kitchen or in the living room, which were both attached. And my kids would be sitting there drawing, and the two of them are 18 months apart. So they would be sitting there and they'd be laughing and giggling. And I'd come over to them and I'd be like, what are you guys joking about? And they would have these elaborate drawings even before they could write whole words and whole sentences. And they would have these stories that they would share with each other as they're talking about their drawings. And it didn't take me long as a mother to realize that if I wanted to spend time with my children, their love language was drawing. And
Wow.
so markers started to get spread out on the floor. We started drawing together. I loved blogging back then. I still love telling stories and sharing that way. But and so I decided, let's write out a story, handwrite it out, and then add doodles and images around the story. And I shared that out one time, and a teacher friend was like, "Hey, Carrie, that's an amazing sketch note." And I was like, "A sketch note?" Because I'm just writing stories with pictures like my kids are, like my 5-year-olds are. And so I did some research on what sketchnoting was and learned more about it. And the more I learned about it, the more I was able to connect with it, that I wanted to continue to hone that craft as a human being, as an educator. And then it took me a couple, 2-3 years before I was really ready to bring it into the classroom, because I was pretty certain, at least when I first learned about it, that my students who had, some motor skill planning areas of weakness, comprehension was low. I was pretty sure that they were just not going to be able to, to do sketchnoting, until it was just like one of those things where it just kept eating away at me. The more I learned about it, the more I researched it, the more I used it, the happier it made me. I was like, how can I not bring this into the classroom? And I did. And I've never looked back. They just, it was everything that I hoped it would be and more.
I love that. And so even though when you thought it might be a little difficult, did your students, did they go beyond what you thought they could do when you did introduce it?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that it was an easy road into that, it definitely took some scaffolding, and I had to harness all of those skills that we build as educators to bring something that can be really simple and basic or complex as sketchnoting is. But we started with just an image, doodling it next to a paragraph that I read, and I joke in my first book, My Pencil Made Me Do It. I think we spent like a good 3 or 4 weeks of me reading a paragraph and then saying, "What do you imagine in your head?" And like looking and hearing crickets, and then go, "I imagine this." And I draw it, and everybody would copy off me. But then suddenly there was one student who, and I would walk around the room every day during ELA and go around and tell the kids, "Oh my gosh, that's a great drawing of the house," which is the same house I just drew up, but giving them words, right? Filling them up with bravery, hopefully, that they would draw. Until one student, I'll never forget, his hands covering his paper. I'm like, just show it to me. It's okay. I want to see what you drew. And I figured it was going to be the same thing that I had drawn. And I call it going rogue. He was my first student to go rogue. And once that one student stopped drawing exactly what I drew, it gave the whole class permission to do that,
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to teach 7th graders for a couple of weeks, and it was tremendous. It was one of my most favorite things to do. I hope that I get to go back soon. But when you're trying to get middle schoolers to draw, they're so used to not drawing anymore, like drawing in class. Like they're used to getting in trouble for drawing in class.
Yeah.
I think that we've conditioned them to not be as creative or whatever. So I can empathize with that it was a little bit hard, but I'm so glad that you stuck with it. And that's a pretty incredible story. But I think we should all, we talk about, being in front of the screen, but this is sketchnoting you can do on the computer for sure. But it's a great way to just get your imagination going and to get deeper into anything that you're studying. So I have so many ideas. After reading your book, I have so many ideas I'm going to blog about, but you guys will have to wait for that. So what inspired you to write Stanely and the Very Messy Desk? And I feel like you have a relationship with Stanely that we need to know about.
I do. So Stanely is, let me find a page for Stanely. How do I describe him in the book? He's like a 3-inch little hamster whose favorite thing is his pencils. He's silly. He loves being Stanely. He's just everything about him. He loves learning, and he's fearless, and he loves his imagination. Now, the thing and I guess I could tell you this little secret. That's not really a secret, but the funny thing about Stanely is I wrote about Stanely in my first book, My Pencil Made Me Do It, because he's actually something called my learning mascot. And it's an image of my inner self that I can reflect in a single drawing that can share all the things about me. And so I really connected with Stanely as that element of sketchnoting. It's just an activity that I do. And Stanley I kept drawing him and drawing him and drawing him, and he became a character of his own. But then the more I really looked at him and, talked about silly, fearless, I realized he really is, there is quite a reflection of me in Stanley. I love embracing Stanley. I love drawing him. I love connecting with him because I think he's a piece of my best self, right? But he's also just a cute little hamster, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine what my little mascot would be. And I just keep thinking of a banana or a monkey. So I'm not sure but I'm going to think about that because I love it.
I can send you a link too. I did do a vlog series about creating your own learning mascot. So if anybody's interested in that.
Yeah, for sure. Send it to me. I want to say something too. And I love that. I love everything you're saying about Stanley. I always say that. I love that because I really do. But something I noticed when I was reading your book is, and this is important because every page almost when you start getting it is like a sketch note in itself. Mm-hmm. And I love it because when I look at it, I'm like, I could do that. I could start here. And now I see myself getting better. Whereas when I started a few years ago, I was just kind of going rogue on myself and I wasn't sure how to make those containers. Mm-hmm. And now I'm thinking this is a good place to start. And then I can see how people would grow and get more confident in that. So every single page in here, again, and is it okay that I'm showing these illustrations?
100%. Yeah.
And this is something you did when we were talking, when I was on your Doodle and Chat, you used actual, what are those little Post-its? You used Post-its.
I do. I love to use Post-its in sketchnoting. So I reflected that in the book because it's just it's an easy tool. It's an easy, something accessible to every teacher. It gives a nice structure to things, and it's sticky and it moves around and it's easy to manipulate and have conversations and just enhance a lesson,
Yeah. And I think it's even something that also inspired me about your book is that I would not normally consider myself as an artist, but you simplified it in a way that anybody could be like, I can do that. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you. That was always my hope.
Good, because it works. Okay, I'm going to show you another. Look at that. That is a sketch note. And I think sometimes when we see master sketchnoters like you, we're like, oh my God, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. But look at this. This is simple. We could do this. I love that. It's simple. It's beautiful. It's just, yes, I'm sold. I'm going to be sketchnoting. I was like, I should sketchnote or talk tonight like you do, but I'm not there yet. So
that's okay.
And we've kind of talked about this, but how else do you hope that this helps teachers, parents, and children? We've talked a little about this.
So my hope for Stanley and the Very Messy Desk was that it would make sketchnoting accessible to everybody. It's a children's book. It's a book that I had hoped would be, appealing to young children to adults, that you could pick the book up and read it. And I tried to focus really strongly on some of the skills I had learned as an educator, especially anchoring. So taking something new, which is sketchnoting, and anchoring it to something that we all know, which is a desk. And I wanted to have fun with it, with the messy desk, Mm-hmm. I was intentional about it being messy because I wanted those students out there who always don't get the props because their desk is messy. I wanted them to see this book and be like, my desk is messy and Stanley says it's okay, that there's fun in the mess, right?
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to use that anchoring to really take sketchnoting and teach it to people in a way that would make it really accessible and easy for them to understand. And I wanted to make it a very step-by-step process, but I also wanted to honor the intelligence of students too. I wanted them to know what it does for their brain and their cognitive thinking when they're learning. And I wanted them to know what it does for their emotions too. And but I also wanted to scaffold it too, so that it would give educators an opportunity to not have an excuse to try it in their classroom, because it was scaffolded. There was things to anchor on. There were steps to go along with. As they're reading the book, they, in essence, could sketchnote with it. And then hopefully this new process will become slightly more comfortable, and then something that they could apply to something other than a desk.
Right. Well, I was like, I can do this. And so then I looked at your biography at the very end, and I was just like, I just started, so you have a really cool biography. And then I just started using and I took your idea of containers, and my coffee spilled on this. So I had that coffee spill, but every container, and some of it is a little bit too dark, but I was like, I could do this. And I started just taking the things that would go with you and putting them inside of a container that kind of went with it. It really was a great way to get my my creative juices going. I wish that I had done this in college. I feel like my notes would have been a lot more exciting.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, but we all are learning. Like, it doesn't matter what field we're in. Like, a lot of us go to conferences, not just education, but to get better, to grow. And this is such a good way to remember all of that information. So I'm hoping that people tune into this that are just, I love education, but you know what I'm saying, even beyond.
Yes.
And something else that came to me when I was reading, sometimes it's hard to teach like main idea and topic and details, but wow, did you put it in a way that like it's illustrated, it just makes so much more concrete sense. And so you've got that topic, you've got these details, but you're not doing it in just a way, because not everybody is a writer at first, not everybody becomes a writer anyway, but you do it in such a way that it looks fun. It doesn't make me think, oh man, I can't do that, I'm not a writer. It's inviting. And so I'm like, okay, this is good. This is how I'm going to use it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Do you mind reading a little bit of it or showing? And I can show the illustrations if you want, if there's a few pages you want to read to us.
Sure. I'm just going to open it up. We'll pick a page.
All right.
Okay. You can. So I'm on this page right here with Stanley.
Is it One Day Stanley?
Stanley peeked inside.
Okay. I'm almost there. Okay, maybe I went.
No, it's okay. How about, do you see this one where it says Stanley turned? And it's got
yes.
the blank. Let's do that
right
one.
here. I was right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Stanley comes upon this desk. And so the book starts, he's got this book and he's got his paper. Stanley picked a topic and started to sketch note. And Stanley decided to sketch note his desk. And it really could be anything. It could be even a child, like your own self. Stanley peeked inside the desk again. He found the sticky notes. His eyes got really big. Stanley loved sticky notes. Stanley thought, sticky notes are just like containers in a sketch note. They hold learning. They also come in lots of shapes. We can move them around and organize them in lots of different ways. Stanley grabbed some sticky notes and used them as containers in his sketch note. He filled the containers with words that were on topic, new, interesting, and made him feel something. He thought to himself, just like each desk is filled with different stuff, so are each of our sketch notes.
Oh, that's where my brain was like, oh my God, this is the way. This is the way. I love that.
Yes.
It's so visual. When you illustrated this, was it hard to illustrate what you were writing?
I had a pretty good idea about where I wanted it to go. Yeah. I had a process that I was going to use, and I knew the images I wanted to draw. And it was just really fun to kind of get in the mindset of Stanley. I got to take myself into this little hamster and squeaking and squealing, being silly, and drawing from his perspective. It added another layer of creativity that I hadn't experienced before.
Mm-hmm. And I like to ask this, and I didn't even prep you for this, but what was like the hardest part of writing it?
I think it was the words, right? Getting those words down to be at a children's perspective, but also make it fun and playful, and make sure that everything was connecting the way I wanted it to, so that it was a story that I thought that kids would engage with, or people would want to read.
Yeah, I was a little, I was surprised in a really good way. Like, I wasn't sure what the direction was. I know it's crazy. I want to say another thing at the end, and this really jazzes me, because I'm an educator like you, but like you kind of spell everything out at the end.
I try.
And then, look at this. You could literally use this, and it gets better, because then it's like it's all this help, and then you have blank. So it's just like different levels. I'm really impressed.
Once
you put even in there,
we just can't help ourselves, can we?
Yes. Like you're like, tear it out and just start.
I was like, every scaffold is in here. We can do it. Everybody can do it.
Yes, I love that. And something that is even cooler is I talked a little bit about IdeaCon in my introduction. Have you been to IdeaCon before?
I have. IdeaCon has been historically, because I'm from Illinois. Actually, I talk about it in my first book, and when I talk about the major state conference that I tried, my first live sketchnoting was IdeaCon. It holds a really special place in my heart. It's been a conference that has been really good to me and offered me a lot of connections and friendships through that.
I'm so excited because this means that now I get to hug you in person. I will actually get to meet you. I feel like it's our first time, right? It'll be the first time we meet in real life.
Yes.
Okay. I have actually met some people in real life and forgotten that. And then I'm like, oh my God. But it was like, no, we've already met in real life. But you, I think
Okay.
this is so cool. But you are so big. What are the sessions that you're doing at IdeaCon?
So you mentioned in the introduction that Dr. Mandy Tolan and I host a weekly YouTube live show, and it's called Doodle and Chat. And it's also every other week we do Doodle and Chat with friends, where we pull questions from the bowl, which I have here with me. And we call it the bowl that knows. Mandy's experienced it. I mean, Melody's experienced it. So is Mandy very often. But Melody's experienced it. And it's questions specially written for the people that are friends that are here with us. And we pull from the bowl and we ask our guests questions, and then we doodle and chat with our guests about that question. Well, we're going to be doing that live at IdeaCon from 9:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock with a lunch break in there. But we're really excited. We've got a lot of people signed up. We'll be drawing every 15 minutes with somebody new. And we're really excited. It's our first chance to do this live at a conference, and we're just really excited for what the next steps for Doodle and Chat is, because we think it's really special.
That is so cool. I'm just curious. Does it also kind of scare you?
I'm trying not to get too scared, but I also remind myself that, when things scare you like this, it means it's just really special to you, right? So I really want it to be as special as it is to us, to other people. And I want the experience that you had and other people have had to have it with us sitting live. I want people to walk away feeling special and filled up, and like they have, their ideas and information and who they are is a good contribution for all of us to learn more about.
I love that so much, because you're right. I mean, I really did feel so, I just spit all over myself. I felt so filled after being with you and Dr. Mandy. It was just like, I had no idea, what it would be like. I was a little afraid because of my drawing skills, or what I considered my lack of drawing skills. But honestly, I was so touched afterwards. I love that. And I know that you do the same thing. Both of you do the same thing with your students. They must feel like that, like on a regular basis. And right now, educators, they're going to be like, it's in the middle of the year. It's so tiring. Everyone's tired, but they're going to leave your session and they're going to feel like, wow, I am special. And we all need to feel that. So I'm excited for you and everybody that gets to join you.
Me too.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, we also do have a breakout that we're doing. So like what people would imagine is a session. And it's the first time that we'll be doing it. We're very excited about it, but we're calling it the Doodle and Chat experience. So people who come to our breakout session will learn about what sketchnoting is, about what idea a Doodle and Chat is and how it got started. And then the participants in that session are going to write their questions, and we're going to pull from them. And the whole people, everybody there in attendance is going to be part of the chatting, and then we're all going to draw and chat together. So I'm really excited about that.
I love that. And we just made this happen. But if you're at IdeaCon, and I'm going to be at IdeaCon, and Carrie's going to be at IdeaCon, she's coming to our Spaces EDU booth, and she's going to be signing over a few copies of Stanely and My Pencil Made Me Do It.
Yep.
And we are giving them as gifts, I think, to the first 20 people. And we're doing that on Tuesday. Yes. Tuesday, right when the hall opens, you better get to the Spaces EDU booth. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. And I love it. So everybody's going to go home knowing that they can sketchnote, and regardless of what you think that your talents are, you can sketchnote. I love this so much. And you're doing this with Jennifer Lieben?
Jennifer's going to be there. Yep, she's a guest also, or a friend. I guess a friend. Yeah, she's going to be a friend, and so is Yaritza's going to be there as well, and she's also going to be at your spaces giving away books, right?
Yes, she's going to be signing books at our booth. And I just want to say something, because Jaritza and you are the only two books that I've done this year, 2023. And here's the thing. Jaritza's book offers so many amazing historic figures that we don't normally know about. And if you wanted to combine that with a sketch note, I think that's a great way to celebrate, Black history every day of the year, because it's not just for a month, it's American history. So I'm going to actually write about that in my blog. Spoiler alert.
Awesome.
So, but yes, for sure. So we are getting closer to the end of our time. I just want to thank you so much, Carrie, for joining me. But I try to ask this to everybody who comes on, and this doesn't have to have anything to do with the books or IdeaCon or whatever, but something that's just in your heart. But what is some wisdom that you would just like to share with us today?
I mean, whenever it comes to sketchnoting, I always still go to pick up a pencil and just start drawing with your students. It doesn't matter how small or how large a scale it is. Adding doodles to the margin of a notebook, to the margins of a textbook. If we're typing docs in Google Docs, what do you imagine when you're typing this and doing a Google search and adding an image to it? So there's lots of different ways that we can think differently about how we can bring visual thinking and doodling to learn into our classroom. And we just have to think differently and then layer it over what we're already doing. But the hardest part is just taking it. I think it's like with anything. If it feels like it's something that's good for your classroom, it's good for your teaching, take that deep breath and take a leap in. And your teaching and your students' experience with that will be better for it.
I love it. And you're bringing some joy into a classroom where right now, I don't think we couldn't have more. What is it? We can't have an overflow of joy. Like, we need as much joy as we can.
We do.
And that creativity aspect, we just get better the more that we use it. And I love that so much. And honestly, what you just said is true. Like, you just start. And sorry, I'm a little bit dumb. But when you make a mistake, you don't just, wad it all up. Will you tell us what you do when you make a mistake when you're sketchnoting?
So first of all, I have to take a deep breath because it's always uncomfortable. Making mistakes, most people don't enjoy making mistakes, so you have to take a deep breath. But first of all, if you're sketchnoting with your students and you make a mistake, you take a deep breath, you're modeling making a mistake. So you're taking a deep breath, you're staying calm. And I just verbalize what I'm thinking. Oh my gosh, can you believe I just did that? And I scribble it out. And then it just stays there and it scribbles, and I try it, and we just let it go and we move on. But those opportunities for our students to see us fail or to struggle, but then to hear us, you repair it and rebound from it and then move on. It's only going to allow them to see a little bit more human and who we are as a teacher and connect us even more, and also invite other students to take risks as well.
The moment that happened when I was on your Doodle and Chat, that sat in my brain. Like, that's how I do it now. Like, I don't feel like I have to erase. I don't care. Like, I homeschool, I don't care if my girls use pens when they do math, because you can just take it out. And even today, when I was trying to make socks, because you wear mismatched socks, which I love, I could make a sock go one way, but I was like, I can't make it go the other way. And then I thought, well, who cares? I'm just going to try. I'll just scribble it out if I need to.
Right.
And I know that seems kind of silly, but honestly, that's a great metaphor for life. And it really does have a deeper impact the more you think about it. So I appreciate that. You are a teacher's teacher. Thank you for joining us tonight. Whether you are watching live or whether you are, watching the replay somewhere, we appreciate it so much. I've put up some links. You can find Carrie, and I hope that you will check this out, because she's an amazing person to get to know. And she's got all of the different links. If you want to find out more about her and her books and just her sketchnoting, you can go to this link. And I will be blogging about this and putting it on. But Carrie, again, this was such an amazing opportunity to talk with you. I can't wait to see you next week and give you a hug in real life.
Thank you so much, Melody.
Yes. All right, everybody. And I will be coming live to you. Like, you're going live with your sketchnoting. I'm actually going to be going live with BookChat. So if you're going to be at IdeaCon next week, find me, because we're actually going to be going live with a lot of edu authors. So I'll see you all next week, everybody. Bye.